Is atheism the null hypothesis, or is it a lack of belief in gods? We also have another problem here too. Propositions could be inverted, with the alternative proposition now being no gods exist, and the null being at least one god exists. This, again, is the problem with the propositions being generally unfalsifiable, and it's why they don't count as hypotheses.
Null hypothesis doesn't exist really outside of a scientific framework, a statistical framework. You don't hear the average person talking about the null hypothesis. And because of that, it's been co-opted into this kind of like atheist rhetoric, and it is rhetoric, and I don't mind people using analogies. I just don't want those analogies to cause people to have worse science literacy, because that's what this does. Ultimately, it makes people think that the null hypothesis has to be a zero value, which it doesn't. A null hypothesis can compare two positive values or two negative values and see the difference between those values. It doesn't say that there are no effects. It says that the effects are different between the effects. It makes people think that scientists don't actively believe things before doing it, and makes it seem like the null hypothesis is the only way of doing any kind of scientific research, which isn't true. And it puts a lot of, it talks about the null hypothesis being linked to the burden of proof, which it isn't. It is just a paradigm in order to have good science results, unbiased science results. That's all it is. It's nothing to do with the burden of proof. There's no one who has the burden in that situation. It is a scientist having a paradigm to make sure that their bias isn't influencing the answer. And that's it.
The atheists want everyone to use scientific language accurately. I mean, consider how we demand that on creationists when they're using theory as just an idea or evolution as just a change in kind. Yet when it comes to ourselves, we allow these colloquialisms of scientific and philosophical language to slip under the radar, and we don't address that with each other. And they then get used as if they are the actual concepts they're describing. And then we see folks demanding others learn about the null hypothesis and default position, as if that is how those terms are actually used in a scientific or philosophical context.